So I'm here with Eddie Mulder again, and Eddie apparently tried to lose me on the way up here in his car. What are you, some kind of stunt rider?
We play the stunt game once in a while. I thought you'd enjoy it since you're a road racing guy and stuff. The little road coming up to the house is pretty cool, actually.
So you do a vintage West Coast dirt track series, don't you?
And we do the Eddie Mulder West Coast Vintage Dirt Track Series. Actually, David, this is me and my wife Jody have done it this is going on our 14th year, I believe, and we got some new venues coming in. It looks like in '09, and I think we're going to kind of run around for another year and try to keep the sport alive. You know, we got some guys like Digger Helm, which is a big sponsor in Bakersfield that sponsors the Pro 600 class, and it's we've had a hell of a turnout, and it's turned into be a really a lot of fun and a lot of work, and turned into makes us some money too, you know.
So you sort of retired from road racing in '75 or so, but I've noticed you out in a few events, and you just can't stay off the track, can you?
No, it's one of those things, you know, you're born with it. You know, I was fortunate to have the talent that I had and found it young in life. And like we go to Pikes Peak, actually, you know, where we met you earlier in this year, and have the pleasure of going there with 8 or 10 of our vintage friends and doing the T-shirts and doing the races and kind of do the whole thing. And now we're talking about going to Arizona, maybe riding a little dirt track race in Arizona and stuff. And, you know, it's... you know, when I die, I'll stop roaming around, I think, you know.
So now, Eddie, you have a business that builds custom Triumph motorcycles. They're based on the older bikes. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, David, we can. We got into it here a few years ago, and, you know, I was a dirt track guy and messed around, and a lot of people wanted something that was safe and fast and good. And, you know, me and Carl Chrome, my little motor man, kind of got dialed in, and we started picking at it. And Works Performance made us some real nice shocks, and A&A made us some real nice wheels with Brembo brakes. And, you know, Barnett and K&N and Motion Pro built us all the other, like, levers and cables and all the stuff, and built real nice exhaust pipes. And they're just a real sweet, nice running motorcycle. And they stop, and they turn, and they handle, and they run. You know, and we build probably about 4 a year, maybe 5 a year, and then we rebuild everybody's that run them. You know, like Mickey's and Keith's, and everybody's all the guys have them that want to pull the trigger. I mean, they're really nice, updated. The only thing that really vintage on them is the motor and the guy sitting on them. You know?
And apparently they still win races, as we saw this year at Pikes Peak.
Oh yeah, they run. I mean, they run up that hill for an old motorcycle. They run up the hill really good. I think I took 13 seconds off the record or something, you know, and without the brakes and without the motors and stuff, that wouldn't happen. But they're, you know, basically they got all carbon fiber tank and seat on them, and I mean, they're pretty trick, you know, for a quote unquote vintage motorcycle. But, you know, they're safe, you know, and with the Maxxis tires on them, you can really squeeze them in the corner, and it's just you know, for a vintage motorcycle, it's a cat's meow. Okay, so here we are in the garage talking about the Triumphant, actually, which is called the Eddie Mulder Replica. We build a few of them every year, and there's some stuff on this motorcycle that's pretty unique. Like the frame is a C&J Racing frame. Actually, was designed and built by Jeff Cole, that owns C&J Racing Frames. The motorcycle actually weighs about 312 pounds, which is about 22 pounds lighter than any dirt track I ever had in the 70s and stuff. And this thing will stop and steer. And little Carl Crone, my little motor guy, builds the motors, handcrafts the motors and stuff, and get all the parts from C&J and Bill Getty and John Healy back at Coventry Spares. And then we have the Barnett throttle, which is all dual cabled, all really nice, that fits really well. And have all the Motion Pro cables and the Motion Pro levers, and we have some adjustable head crowns, which is actually kind of iffy on the vintage legal thing. It's where you can change the head angle for whatever kind of surface you run. Like at Pikes Peak, we'll run the standard, which is 26-degree head angle. But if you're going to run a small little short track like Bakersfield or something, you can change the head angle and pull it into 24, which is pretty trick. And they're all aluminum, all adjustable. You know, in the Works double tank shocks, which are pretty clever. You know, which once again is a little bit iffy in the vintage thing, but it's all good. Everything is all carbon fiber. You know, and the Maxxis tires really, really work so amazing on these things. It's unbelievable. And this thing will stop and go. Basically, it's all good. We're in the process now of building some new ignitions for these things since Alan Diablo went out of business, and we're in the process of building some new ignitions with PVL. This is actually the bike, David, we just got done with Pikes Peak, and I haven't even washed it, actually. You know, Johnson Cams actually did the cylinder head on this. This has a D-shaped cylinder head, which is kind of the trade-off of a XR Harley 750 from the factory, and it helps a lot. So once again, after you do everything that you can do to one, then you start stretching and seeing where you can, get that little bit that makes that little bit of difference, and it's a nice motorcycle. I'm happy to have my name on it. This here is a Triumph Cheney, actually. It's the 325th Triumph Cheney frame ever made, and the Cheney was made by a gentleman obviously a guy named Cheney in England. And this motorcycle here belongs to Brooklyn Yamaha Honda. A good friend of mine, Scott Dunleavy, has that motorcycle shop up there. This is his partner, Carl's. And my little motor man, Carl, did the frame, Mark did the exhaust pipes, put all new stainless steel fenders on it, restored this whole thing, got work shocks on it. Motion Pro's doing all the cables and special link cables because it's such a small little motorcycle, and all aluminum gas tank. And this is like a collector's item, big time collector's item for a motocross motorcycle. I don't know what the exact weight to this thing is, but it's got like the CZ forks on it, and I mean it's a little sweetheart. She's gonna be nice. It's a 62 TR6 SS, which is a kind of a collector's item. Me and my wife Jody found this. A buddy of mine actually had it sitting in his garage for about 10 or 15 years and gave me a phone call one day here about 4 or 5 years ago and said, "Would you like to own the thing?" And drove down there and picked it up, and we jump on it every once in a while and ride it down to Billy Bob's for breakfast and cruise around up here in the mountains on it, and actually kind of maybe thinking about taking it to Las Vegas to the auction this year and see if somebody wants to step up and make me happy and take it away. Here is actually my wife Jody that runs the Vintage Dirt Track series for us and does all the paperwork and is a big backbone of the whole thing, and we have a lot of fun. She's a cowgirl, races barrels and stuff, and does that whole thing and loves the animal things. And we have a gorgeous home up here in Pinion Hills, and kind of happy as hell, I guess. And without her, I think I'd probably be in a lot of trouble. Anything to say?
I keep you out of trouble big time.
All right, that's Jody, folks.
Again, I want to thank you very much for speaking with me today, Eddie, for trying to lose me on the way up here. And anything else you'd like to add?
I just would like to thank you for, doing what you're doing for the sport and for myself and keep my name alive. And I'd like to thank all the sponsors that make the West Coast Vintage Dirt Track Series possible, and for me to still have the pleasure to go race Pikes Peak and pick and choose and to do what I want to with my life. And without the sponsors, there's just, that's what makes the world go around, and I'd like to thank my wife and for all of what she does for us. And we're just going to have a lot of fun. We're going to do the dirt track thing one more time this year. And I keep saying that, but it's, people are knocking our door down now to come and have us do the event. So we're doing something right. And basically have a great holiday and thank you very much.
Right. Thank you.